Welcome to this explainer. You know, it's absolutely wild to think that a single text message could literally tank a multi-million-dollar merger. But honestly, that's the reality of corporate security today. We're diving deep into a critical analysis from Atlant Security, evaluating the top 7 secure messaging apps for high-stakes business environments. We're going to see exactly how the absolute best handle encryption, metadata, and account privacy. Because for business decision makers, keeping your communications locked down isn't just an IT headache anymore. It's a core business imperative. So we're going to break down this ranking confidently, practically, and totally jargon-free, so you know exactly which tools are actually keeping your data safe. Let's get into it. Privacy isn't negotiable. It's a pillar of trust. We really have to start right there, establishing the immense stakes of corporate privacy. In the enterprise world, and especially if we're talking about executives or high-net-worth individuals, a single unsecured message isn't just some minor slip-up. It is a catastrophic vulnerability. Whether you're talking about merger discussions, proprietary intellectual property, or global logistics, if that stuff leaks, the damage can be completely irreversible. So here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll cover the high stakes of privacy. Second, we're defining true messaging security. Third, we'll look at the heavyweight business contenders. Fourth, we'll explore specialized apps for niche needs. And finally, we'll talk about how to actually choose your digital vault. All right, part 1, the high stakes of privacy. Are you building a vulnerability or a vault? Before we even look at the apps themselves, let's demystify a word you hear all the time: metadata. Think of metadata as the digital breadcrumbs of your communication. It reveals exactly who you're messaging, when you're doing it, and how often. So even if the actual message content is locked up tight, if an app tracks your metadata, anyone watching can essentially piece together your entire network and behavior. The true risk isn't always the message itself, it's often the metadata logging surrounding it. Moving to part 2, defining true messaging security. Let's look at the ironclad criteria. So, what actually makes an app a true fortress? We can break it down into 5 essential pillars. First up, absolute end-to-end encryption. That ensures only you and the recipient can read the data, period. Second is metadata minimization, which we just talked about. Third, independent security audits, because you definitely want third-party forensic experts proving the code is actually safe. Fourth is jurisdictional safety, and wow, this one is huge. An app based in Switzerland or the EU operates under vastly different privacy laws than one in other parts of the world. And finally, premium features and usability. Why does that matter? Because the most advanced encryption in the world is utterly useless if the app is a pain to use and your team simply refuses to open it. When you map out the entire landscape of these top 7 apps side by side, from Signal and Threema to Element and Proton Chat, it acts as a perfect cheat sheet. You can instantly compare legal jurisdictions, metadata policies, and pricing models. For instance, notice how Threema, Silent Phone, and Proton Chat are all anchored in Switzerland. Having this high-level view is a real game changer for evaluating the big players. Section 3. The heavyweight business contenders. It's all about balancing control and usability. Let's start with Signal. Honestly, this is widely considered the battle-tested gold standard. It uses the famous double ratchet encryption protocol, fully open source code, and incredibly minimal metadata logging. We're talking basically just timestamps, and that's it. You can really frame Signal as the non-negotiable baseline for real-time, urgent texts and voice calls. Its independently audited privacy makes it the go-to for everyone from investigative journalists to heads of state. Next up, we have Threema, which is often called the Swiss Fort Knox. What makes Threema so interesting is its unique value proposition for high-trust circles. It completely eradicates all ties to your personal identity. Seriously, you don't even need a phone number or an email address to use it. You just get a completely anonymous ID. Plus, it operates under those incredibly tough Swiss privacy laws we mentioned, and they just charge a simple one-time fee instead of hitting you with a recurring subscription. Now, it's fascinating to put 2 other absolute titans head-to-head, Wickr and Wickr. Wickr is built around enterprise zero-knowledge logs and intensely strict ephemeral chats that self-destruct down to the millisecond. It's totally perfect for long-form file transfers and coordinating really high-value logistics. Wickr, on the flip side, perfectly balances corporate compliance with amazing multi-account flexibility. It's fully open source and really shines when you need to seamlessly bounce between your private and professional personas on the exact same device. Part 4. Specialized apps for niche needs. Let's look at voice, infrastructure, and ecosystems. So what if your absolute primary concern is voice communication? Well, that's where Silent Phone enters the chat. It offers impenetrable peer-to-peer calls that completely bypass centralized servers altogether. By using ZRTP voice encryption and fully encrypted voicemails, avoiding those middlemen through pure routing makes Silent Phone practically unmatched for those high-stakes voice briefings when you're on the move. Next up is Element, which is built on the Matrix network. If you're an IT-minded leader who just wants to avoid centralized silos entirely, this decentralized open network is tailor-made for you. Because it runs on a federated architecture, you actually have the power to own and host your own private server nodes. You literally get total, uncompromising control over your infrastructure and your data residency. And finally, rounding out our specialized niche category, we have Proton Chat. Look, if you or your org are already deep in the Proton Mail ecosystem, this is a total no-brainer. Proton Chat acts as a totally frictionless extension of that setup. Under the hood, it uses the highly respected Signal protocol, and it completely maintains Proton's strict zero-access ethos. It seamlessly closes the loop on an end-to-end secure workflow without forcing you to juggle a bunch of disconnected platforms. All right, Section 5, choosing your digital vault. Let's get into some actionable intelligence. To actually choose the right tool, you have to stop and ask yourself, what is your exact threat model? You need to honestly assess your operational risks here. Security isn't just some binary switch you flick on or off. It's a spectrum, and it has to be deliberately tuned to your specific enterprise needs. Are you losing sleep over external surveillance, internal leaks, or maybe losing control of your data servers? Let's do a quick threat mapping exercise right now. If your main threat is targeted surveillance, the source highly suggests looking at Threema or Silent Phone to benefit from those strict Swiss privacy laws and peer-to-peer routing. If your concern leans heavily toward corporate espionage and you need to securely share massive files, Wickr, and Wired are the absolute standouts. And if total infrastructure control is your ultimate mandate, self-hosting Element is the way to go. You can see how specific applications neutralize very specific operational threats. But hey, it's not just about the threat model, right? It's about your actual workflow. Adoption suffers massively if the app doesn't fit your team's daily habits. You really have to factor in these non-negotiables. Need device-agnostic multi-account flexibility? You're going to lean toward Wired or Element. Is zero metadata, totally anonymous use an absolute must-have? Threema is your answer. Do you rely heavily on seamless, secure audio and video calls? Then you'll want to look at Silent Phone or Proton Chat. I also want to quickly bust a really pervasive myth right here. You'll constantly hear people claim that more features automatically equal more risk. Now, while it's true that complexity can introduce vulnerabilities, the reality is that rich features absolutely can coexist with ironclad security. The catch? They just have to be built on open-source foundations and highly audited protocols. Transparent code means you can absolutely have safe, premium functionality without compromising the vault. Remember, just downloading an app from the store? That is literally only step one. A true daily security regime requires 3 distinct things. First, a formal onboarding session. You've got to configure things like disappearing messages and screen locks right out of the gate. Second, you need ongoing check-ins. Think quarterly audits of your security posture to adapt as new threats pop up. Third, ensure that any custom integrations, like connecting APIs to your CRM, are locked down just as tight. Maintaining a proactive, white-glove daily regime is what actually keeps your communications secure in the real world. I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought. What is the true cost of your current unsecured communications? When you're dealing in high-stakes endeavors, whether that's major business strategy, sensitive IP, or capital, establishing an encrypted vault isn't just about playing defense. It's about protecting the ultimate currency of trust. Take the time to evaluate your threat model, pick the app that genuinely fits your workflow, and lock down your digital life today. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.